Can you see why some people have cut up rough about Liz Truss and that jet?
I really am surprised at the scrutiny this has got, but it just goes to show, Alastair, that the day and age that we live in terms of what stories the media think will get traction, because obviously there's an editorial decision that says, we think putting out a story about the Foreign Secretary taking the government plane is going to get traction. And maybe it does. Maybe that's what feeds the social media machine. But the problem we found with social media and this kind of news is that, I think, as you were saying quite rightly in your monologue, it doesn't present the facts. It doesn't even go to present the whole picture. And this is where we sort of stumble into the position of almost fake news. Is this really news? Are we being given a complete story? And can we trust the media sources or even the social media channels that we're receiving this information from? And that's the big worry for me from this.
Yeah, and the answer to that one is no, evidently, and thank you for that observation. And I tell you the other thing that worries me, from a communications point of view, and you and I, when I used to do the London programme, we had a lot of dealings about, what the mayor actually meant by doing so and so, and what lay behind it and what have you. Some on the record, some off the record. We all know how it works. But if the Foreign Secretary has to waste time explaining why she's going on that aircraft rather than that one, as opposed to explaining why she thinks there's an upside to the trade deal for farmers who don't think there is, that's a complete waste of vital time as well.
You're absolutely right, because actually the audience would probably be interested to understand in more detail what the Foreign Secretary was doing there, the value that she was getting for brand Britain, as you were putting it, but also for us as constituents. What was the detail of policies discussed? And we could scrutinise the genuine story. The problem we have is that the Foreign Secretary feels now that she has to answer these questions, because if she doesn't, then that can cast even more aspersion or even run the story, because she's choosing not to recognise the question. And I feel politicians, we all know, we have little sympathy for them most of the time, but really at the moment they're caught between a rock and a hard place, because if they don't answer every single question that's posed to them, they're considered to be avoiding the question, even if it's to the degree of completely misleading the public in terms of not giving them the full story of what they're actually doing there.